Today, we welcome you to our channel as we delve into a tragic case, the story of Michelle Davis. Born Michelle in Corner on December 15, 1966, in Iowa, she was a 41-year-old mother of three residing in Des Moines by 2008. At that time, her divorce from her husband, Randy Davis, was nearing completion, and she was taking significant steps toward a new beginning. Michelle had moved into her own apartment and secured a restraining order against Randy, marking a pivotal moment in her life. However, the years leading up to her divorce were fraught with challenges for the family. Described as friendly and adventurous, with a love for motorcycles, Michelle was a well-respected secretary at a trucking company. On September 11, 2008, having finally liberated herself from the burdens of her troubled marriage, colleagues noted a positive change in her demeanor following her separation. Michelle left work around 4:30 p.m., but her newfound freedom was tragically short-lived. Shortly after her departure, 911 operators began receiving reports of an accident on Interstate 235. A Mercury Sable was discovered overturned, with Michelle still strapped in her seatbelt, unconscious in the driver's seat. Despite the swift response of paramedics, they were unable to save her, and Michelle Davis was pronounced dead upon arrival at the scene. Initially, police suspected that she had lost control of her vehicle, leading to the accident. However, this theory was quickly dismissed. The following day, forensic experts began their investigation into the circumstances surrounding her death. Michelle's demise was not the result of injuries incurred during the rollover. Instead, it was attributed to a gunshot wound to the head. The bullet was retrieved and sent for forensic analysis in an effort to identify the assailant. While awaiting the ballistic examination results, local authorities took measures to ensure public safety, considering the possibility that Michelle may have been an arbitrary target and that the shooter could potentially strike again. In response to these concerns, the police intensified patrols in the vicinity. Once it became evident that Michelle's death was not accidental, detectives returned to the crime scene to search for clues. Unfortunately, their attempts were fruitless, as they discovered neither the cartridge case nor any other evidence to assist in the investigation. Initially, the police believed Michelle had been involved in a car accident, leading traffic services to clear the area, which may have compromised potential evidence. Nevertheless, the detectives remained optimistic about uncovering leads by reviewing traffic camera footage, which often proves instrumental in solving cases. The investigators began analyzing recordings from the traffic cameras, particularly focusing on the one nearest to the crime scene. After rewinding the footage to the time when 911 calls were first made, they spent half an hour searching before locating the relevant video. The footage depicted Michelle's vehicle overturned, but the quality was subpar, resembling a series of still images with gaps in between. The revelation that her death was not an accident left Michelle Davis's family in shock, particularly her father, Michael Lee Corner. The family was particularly heartbroken after the loss of another daughter, Cheryl Sue, who passed away in 1965 at the tender age of 1. Now, they were grappling with the tragic loss of a second child. Michelle's family noted that her life had undergone significant changes recently, despite her not facing any financial difficulties. They harbored suspicions that her husband, Randy Davis, might have played a role in her death. Their divorce was nearing completion, and Michelle had taken the step of filing a restraining order against him. This revelation prompted investigators to view Randy as a potential suspect. In parallel, another detective interviewed Michelle's colleagues and learned of her close relationship with a fellow employee, Matt Jorgensen. This new development introduced an additional suspect into the investigation as authorities sought to unravel the intricate circumstances surrounding Michelle's demise. According to a friend, Michelle and Matt shared mutual feelings, but due to her ongoing divorce from Randy, they chose to keep their relationship discreet, revealing it only to a select group of friends and colleagues. When investigators questioned Matt, he candidly discussed his relationship with Michelle and provided a comprehensive account of his activities on the day she died. He asserted that they had never engaged in any arguments or disputes. The police corroborated his alibi, leading to his elimination as a suspect. A ballistic examination indicated that the murder weapon was a .22 caliber rifle, with experts concluding that the shot had been fired from close range, given the circumstances of the crime. The police theorized that the shooter may have been in another vehicle traveling alongside Michelle's car. This new lead resulted in the identification of a potential suspect. A tip from Michelle's insurance company indicated that her brother, Todd, was pursuing a claim, which raised suspicions of a possible life insurance-related motive for the crime. Consequently, a detective visited Todd's residence to conduct an inquiry. During the questioning about his whereabouts on the day of Michelle's death, Todd became aware of his status as a suspect. He clarified that he was in a different part of the city at the time of her passing and mentioned the family's financial difficulties. Todd explained that he had contacted the insurance company to secure funds for Michelle's funeral. The police corroborated Todd's alibi and confirmed that he was not present in the vicinity of Michelle's death, thereby eliminating him as a suspect. However, Todd provided information that prompted the police to investigate another individual, Josh. Josh, the son of Randy from a previous marriage, was an adult at the time of Michelle's death. A Marine who had recently returned from service, Josh became a person of interest following the tragic incident in which Michelle was fatally injured in a car accident. The police considered Josh a suspect due to his military background. As the investigation progressed, a woman came forward, claiming to have witnessed an event on Interstate 235 at the same time as the incident. She reported seeing a red Ford F-150 pickup truck being driven erratically by a white man wearing a baseball cap, who was swerving between lanes. Investigators, upon receiving new information, decided to re-evaluate traffic camera footage in search of a red pickup truck in the vicinity. The footage corroborated the witness's statement, showing a red pickup truck trailing Michelle from her workplace. However, the clarity of the footage was insufficient to identify the driver or the truck's license plate. Further analysis of additional camera recordings indicated that the truck persistently followed Michelle's route, remaining closely behind her as she neared the site of her demise. This evidence implied that the assailant likely discharged the fatal shot from the truck while in motion. Detectives looking into Michelle's death had several individuals of interest and soon learned that her husband, Randy Davis, owned a red pickup truck. They promptly visited his residence but encountered only his son, Josh, a Marine trained in weaponry who had access to his father's vehicle. Josh asserted that on the day of Michelle's death, he had gone shopping with his sister and spent the evening at home watching television. Nevertheless, detectives found Josh's alibi to be questionable. He mentioned that the divorce proceedings between Michelle and his father were contentious, particularly due to Michelle's demand for half the value of their home. Additionally, Josh indicated that his father returned home around 5:30 p.m. on that day. The conversation with Josh suggested he might have had a motive for the crime, as he was distressed about Michelle's attempts to claim part of his inheritance during the divorce, leading detectives to consider him a potential suspect. The police conducted a thorough search of shops and gas stations along the route from Michelle's workplace to the crime scene, aiming to uncover additional surveillance footage. Their efforts proved fruitful when they located significant footage at a store located just a few miles from Michelle's workplace on September 11, 2008, the day of her death. At approximately 4:00 p.m., a red pickup truck, registered to Randy Davis, arrived at the store. The police needed to ascertain who was operating the vehicle on that day. The security footage captured the driver exiting the truck and entering the store. However, the poor quality of the video hindered the identification of whether it was Josh or Randy. The individual briefly disappeared from view before re-emerging, making a purchase, and exiting the store. It is important to note that this incident occurred at 4:00 p.m., just half an hour before Michelle left work at 4:30 p.m. The police continued their analysis of the footage and observed that the pickup truck returned to the store multiple times over the next 30 minutes, although the driver did not exit the vehicle during these subsequent visits. The truck's last appearance near the store coincided with Michelle's departure from work. Despite the inability to identify the driver, the police made another attempt to contact Randy Davis, who eventually responded and arrived at the police station. The investigators informed Randy of his rights and clarified that he was not under arrest. While in custody, Randy consented to cooperate and respond to inquiries regarding his actions on September 11. He disclosed that he was experiencing a challenging divorce from his wife, Michelle, with whom he had been married for 17 years. Randy asserted that he was employed as a carpenter and was at work on the day of the incident. When asked about the time he returned home, Randy initially showed hesitation before claiming he arrived at 3:45 p.m. However, this assertion was contradicted by surveillance footage and Josh's testimony, which indicated that Randy actually returned home around 5:30 p.m. Randy further claimed that he did not leave his residence after 3:45 p.m. and remained alone until Josh arrived to prepare dinner together. This account was inconsistent with Josh's statement, which indicated that he was already home when Randy arrived. The intertwined narratives of Randy and Josh led investigators to suspect that one of them was not being truthful. To gauge Randy's reaction, investigators informed him that Michelle had died from a gunshot wound rather than injuries from a car accident. Randy exhibited minimal reaction to this revelation, feigning surprise and lowering his gaze. When asked about the last time he saw Michelle, Randy requested legal representation, which concluded the discussion. The investigation was deficient in critical evidence, including the weapon used in Michelle's death. Consequently, Randy Davis was released on September 15, 2008. Michelle's family and friends convened to honor her memory. Randy Davis attended the funeral, displaying an overt expression of grief that included moments of tears. Meanwhile, investigators were diligently working to uncover the truth. Unexpectedly, Josh Davis, Randy's son, arrived at the police station accompanied by his lawyer to provide a statement. According to Josh, his father's vehicle was parked in the driveway when he returned home from visiting his sister. On September 11, 2008, Randy Davis committed a tragic act of violence. His wife, Michelle, had initiated divorce proceedings and was seeking a portion of their shared property, a situation Randy found intolerable, leading him to take extreme actions. Josh recounted that his father had been contemplating this violent act and had even confided in him about intentions to make Michelle regret her decision. Despite Josh's attempts to dissuade him, Randy was resolute in executing his plan. He parked his red pickup truck near Michelle's workplace, waiting for her to finish her shift. Randy circled the store multiple times, ensuring he would not miss the moment she left. When the opportunity arose, he rolled down the passenger window and opened fire, striking Michelle. Josh's testimony proved vital to the investigation, enabling law enforcement to apprehend Randy Davis based on the details he provided. Additionally, the incident was recorded on the store's CCTV, which captured Randy's truck outside the establishment on several occasions prior to the shooting. Initially charged with first-degree murder for Michelle's death, Randy later accepted a plea deal, admitting to second-degree murder in exchange for a lesser sentence. Consequently, he was sentenced to 50 years in prison in 2010.